Hey guys, welcome back. I'm just going to dig into this video. I'm not doing the God's timing yet. I guess it's not God's timing. But here we go. Jackie. You know, I'm still thinking about that other video, and I know you commented on it, and, the tattoo and all that kind of stuff. And the crazy thing is, you dreamt this 4 months ago. I don't know. I don't know how in the world you dreamt something that I was there. I mean, I don't get it. I don't unless the meaning to it to get me to understand because of what you gave me in this email, and it built that trust. Maybe that was the whole purpose of it. I don't know, but you definitely did blow my mind through that video. Through that that message, because it was the fact that even the guy that you didn't know, but you knew him in the dream. And the fact that he was waiting outside the door, I seen him on the steps, you standing in front of him, he's kneeled down, that he had stuff in his hands. It's, I don't know. The guy that we went there to go there with actually knew we met up with him at the mall. That's how we ended up there, because he played in bands and stuff, and he was I don't know, kind of like backyard bands and bars and stuff like that. One night I did a couple of tracks there on the bar, and I didn't know this guy like my friend did, but that's a whole nother ordeal. Let's get into this. One of the things I should have asked you probably before I did this, the three girls across the hall that you talked about, and I'll get down in this story here in a minute, was dressed in the black capes and stuff. Did any of them have a hood? And if they did, can you describe the hood to me? I'm asking this for a reason. If you was able to see it, if they had the hood, or if it was just like a graduation gown type thing, or did all three of them have hoods, or just one have a hood? That's very important, and there's a reason for it. Second question is, did they have access to your room? Did they ever come in your room? Did they know the roommate that went to the hospital? Did they know her? Were they able to get access? If so, were they able to get access of hair, picture, piece of clothing, pencil, anything that you physically used, touched, or you have presence of? It's very important, because you mentioned the pentagram, you mentioned the seances, and that's when these attacks happened. I'm wanting to bet they had something that belonged to you, something, hair, something, anything. They had to. I believe these girls opened these portals. Remember, in the demonic realm, you bring a sacrifice. If you go back into the Bible realm, Abram took Isaac up on the mountain, and he was going to sacrifice him. God gave him a sacrifice. It shows your obedience. It shows your willingness. Illuminati's full of it today. I mean, we go into dark areas. Now, the bed shaking, did it happen from the side or from the foot? Two reasons, because I experienced it from the side shaking and from the foot, depending on the demon. And I know this is crazy to sound, but The side effect, and I'm just going to give you kind of the answers to some of this, and you'll know then, okay, yeah, whatever. um, the side effect is possession. It wants to take your possession. It wants to put you in so much fear that it has that ability to take possession of you. The foot, if it's at the foot shaking, it's trying to just alarm you, to keep you from sleeping, to keep you awake, to drain you down. So you're not functioning, so you're not thinking clearly, so you're not in that realm of common sense, basically, because when you're tired, you don't think straight. It's like being under the influence. I mean, you're half there, half awake. So, these are very important details, I guess, and you'll have the answers for them. But growing up, you talk about the helter skelters, which I believe, I think you said it too, but I honestly I do believe it is Beatles that did that song. Very, a lot of the Beatles songs, if not even you sang songs. Sometimes we sang songs and really don't know the meaning of the song, what's behind it. A lot of the Beatles stuff was twisted. I mean, honestly, it was. Yellow Submarine. I mean, there's so many things that's hidden in these songs. Like I said, people listen to, I went to this guy's at a church one night with a guy that worked where I worked, and he says was always trying to get me to go to these things, and I was like, man, no. So one night I decided to go, and the guy was doing things on demonic and stuff like that, and trying to tell people not to listen to rock and roll music. And now I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this. He played a record backwards, and one of them was Kiss, one of them was Ozzy, Iron Maiden. I can go down the list on some of these, but anyways, when he got to Ozzy, when he was in Black Sabbath, and he played it backwards, and I sat up, and the funny thing is nobody really understood. And I grabbed the pen and paper, and I'm writing down words. And I handed it to him. He says, "That's what you heard?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "What about the other ones? Did you hear anything? You mind if I do it again?" And I said, "No." So I wrote down the words, and granted, I couldn't spell too well, but he most of them he figured out, and when he didn't, he would ask me, and I'd tell him what the word was. And he goes, "What about this song?" He goes, and he's asking everybody else, are you guys, and they said, "Well, we can pick up a couple words here and there." And I said, "You don't understand. This is what I hear. I don't hear what they hear. When you're telling me, when you're reading," because he had the lyric sheet that he would read word for word for word for word what the song actually was singing. I said, "I didn't hear that." So you got to look at Helter Skelter. Charles Manson wrote Helter Skelter on the houses and stuff where, Charles Manson is a lot like Lucifer. He never killed anybody. He just planted the ideas. And these people fulfilled it. He's the mastermind, per se. Man, I could go. I can go on that and that about the demonic in just music alone. I mean, It's tough, Jackie. I mean, this is I'm struggling to get through this. I mean, um, wow. You know, we sometimes toy around with things and we don't really know what we're toying around with. And when you play with tarot cards and you play with Ouija boards and you're playing with all this activity stuff, um, doors and portals are open up. And like them girls across from you, they might have not even known. Maybe they did. Maybe they just thought it was a joke. Maybe they were truly into this stuff. Witchcraft has been around for centuries. I mean, it's not like this is nothing new. Demonic has been around years. I mean, we're talking 223. I mean, this is 2023. So she got to go back at least that far. I don't mean to laugh, but it was pretty funny when you said, I got up and gave him both middle fingers and visible. I mean, don't get mad at me for laughing, but I mean that you gotta admit that out of all of it, I'm like, wait a minute, what did she just say? And I'm like, it's like, what? Wow, it's like, but I can relate. I mean, there's so many things that I've seen and so many things that the bump in the nights. Like right before that second house that Darlene moved in to, I mean, she's not going to lie to you about the stuff either. It's like, I mean, she was terrified. I mean, I was terrified for them. When I watched that little video that the only reason why I deleted that little video, and I wish there was some way that I could have sent it to something to keep it, so I could at least showed you guys exactly what was happening. Because I didn't trust my youngest daughter, and I've been through enough with these kids and the nonsense that they have spoken about me, and I just couldn't deal with that. On top of that, let alone, I was willing to take my life. I was willing to accept that demon into me that night, and obviously that thing was entering in and out of my body, and I didn't even recall it. I didn't even know it. That's the scary part about it. So, but then later on, there's a lot of things that happened in the house that I never even spoke of, even way before they even moved in. Like I said, that house told me it didn't want me, not the rest of them, just her. Well, we found out later on that the oldest daughter was messing around with the girl. The younger daughter was messing around with the girl that lived behind the house. And I mean, it was like this. My son was lying and chasing around with another girl, sleeping with the girl, and doing all these things. My youngest daughter was lying to me. She was dating some guy, and I mean, it's just like your mind checks out, and I'm telling you, anger wasn't the. I mean, like the night I think I testified on, gave this on one of the testimonies that that night when. Weird thing is, it was my daughter's ex-boyfriend, which is a cousin to who my son is married to today, his wife's cousin, somehow like that, or I don't know. But anyways, he brings this letter over there stating that they were taking me to court over my son to get temporary custody, emergency custody, because you file an emergency custody, it happens in 24 hours. Well, they had him in custody at their house at that time. So, like I said, I was when I walked in there and I checked in, I seen these deputy sheriffs walking up towards me, and I'm going, "What's going on?" Well, we're gonna wait outside the room, and I was like, "Reason?" And he goes, "Most likely you're going to be arrested." And I was like, "For what?" But that's a whole nother story, you know. But anyways, that night I went downstairs. I mean, as soon as I got the letter and I went straight downstairs to that punching bag, and I know not to hit a bag without taping my hands up, because you can literally cut your knuckles open and everything. I didn't care. This anger comes over you, and you become something that you're not. You become in a realm that is very powerful, that, if you know, whether or not you're understanding what's going on, but these things are very powerful. You know, to shake a bed with a person in it, you know, people don't believe this. I mean, you know how many people I've told about, you know, I've had this happen to me. Yeah, right, man. All right. I had a friend at the job I worked at. He come over and stayed at the apartment that I was renting. And we were sitting there one night, and my dining room table started moving. And he's just like, looks over at the table, looks at me, and I went, and I'm back clicking through the radio station trying to find something to listen to, grabbing cassette tapes out, and I said, "Oh man, my good one's out in the car. Let me run out and grab it." He goes, "Yeah, whatever, man." So I go out there, and I hear him screaming. And I come running back in the house. Wait, before you all judge me on this one, I said, "Darn, I forgot the tape." So I run back to my car, grab the tape, the cassette tape, and I run back in the house. And he goes, and he's looking at me. He is pale. I mean, strictly pale. And he peed his pants. I looked at him. I was like, "What's wrong with you?" He just kept shaking his head. I said, What is wrong with you?" Now, there was two ways into my house. There was a side door that went down in the basement that both people shared, and then there was a set of stairs that went up and went into a door that went into my kitchen. Through the kitchen, went straight into the bedroom, bathroom. Dining room was right off the kitchen. Living room was right off the front porch, which I had a porch. Never mind. But anyways, so I ran in through the front because I didn't want to try to come in through that side and turn and come up and try to open the door, because most of the time I kept it locked, because I didn't know if anybody, at the time nobody lived upstairs. So a lot of times I if I'm home, I would just leave it unlocked. Because like I said, we shared the basement. So I ran in through the front, and now granted, my back is towards the dining room. And the next thing you know, I felt this like hand come behind the back of my neck and just like squeezed like right like in the back part of my neck and lifted me up and just tossed me right across. I mean, I was inches away from going out that window. My head hit the side, and I gashed right through here. And I don't know if anybody can really see it, but there's a mark that comes down. It literally made a moon-shaped tear and ripped open. There was a nail. I caught a nail, and it looked like somebody took a bowl of red blood and just slapped it right in my face. And at that point, he takes off. I mean, I'm thinking some friend, right? Takes off and leaves me. Well, my sister at that time, she lived 2 houses down. So he runs down to her house and says, you know, my sister thought I was just in a fight. She goes, "Who's he fighting?" He goes, you know, he ended up using her phone because we didn't have cell phones back then. Using her phone to call for a ride, and he left. He would never come around me again. He wouldn't talk to me, and he didn't believe it until then. That's a heck of a way to find out. So my sister comes down there and she goes, "What in the world?" And I'm standing on the porch and the neighbor lady's just staring at me. They're running over there with this gauze and all this crap, and I'm like, you know, they thought I was drunk, fell. I mean, the crazy thing about being drunk, I hardly ever fell. I mean, I fell more sober than I did drunk. It was weird. But where I'm going with all this, that night, and this has been a few years since I've ever, since the bed shakings and all that kind of stuff and any demonic activity or anything. I mean, I would see shadows all the time, and it never stopped. I mean, it's crazy. That night, it was full-blown out demonic attacks. It literally broke my bed, shaking it so bad it split the wood right from the metal frame pieces. The slats that went across that would hold your box springs, it literally just kept pushing down on the bed and shaking the bed, and you can hear them cracking. Now granted, at this time I was probably about 185 pounds and worked out like a freight train. So you're talking 185 pounds, and this thing was tossing me like I was nothing. Weird thing about it was, I had a mirror in the corner of my room. It's one of them old kind of mirrors that you would stand up. It had a stand. It was kind of like one of those things you could flip it type thing. I don't know. I was always weird about mirrors because the magical realm of mirrors, people that do magic use mirrors a lot. Satanic realms use mirrors a lot. So, trust me, this thing wanted to take possession of your body. That's all it was after. It wanted to remove itself to form into you, pull you from it, like you called the walk in. It's basically what it wanted to do. It wanted to remove you and walk into your body, take possession of your body. Sometimes they can just take possession without even removing you. But for some reason, it didn't want to face that confrontation with you. It was trying to get you lifted out so it could take possession. Problem is with this, I don't know of anybody that a demon removed them and they ever came back out of hell at that point. I don't know of anybody that been fully removed from a body and a demon take total possession and them ever come back. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's hardly unlikely. Because that thing, because think about it. How long can you possibly live without your body? Even in the spiritual realm. The thing of it is, you're going into a realm, you're being surrendered now into that realm. Do you really think this thing's going to give up your body? Nobody's going to know. They're just going to think that you're whacked out on drugs or you're drinking and it's the alcohol, the very things that you spoke about. And it's amazing how much of our lives are so similar. You just didn't witness a lot of the things that I've witnessed. The main shadow one that I talk about, that links in the corner, I believe, I totally believe that's one of the demons that you had with you. And I don't believe it's one of the peons under that one. I believe it was the main demon itself. I know it all too well. Now, the other song, "Devil's Girl," I don't think I've ever heard that song, to be honest with you. If I have, then I really didn't pay a lot of attention to it. You know, to me, and please, people, don't go looking up these songs and listening to them, because I'm going to get into this here in a minute. Why I'm telling you not to. Ozzy Osbourne was a fake, to me. Anybody goes around and calls himself the Prince of Darkness and all this garbage, dude has no clue. I mean, honestly. Then again, maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe he's so wrapped in that demonic realm that he's just sick twisted all the way around. But then again, I don't really think so. I really think that, I think he's seen a lot of drugs in his days, and I think he drank a lot of alcohol in his days, but I don't really think that he's truly seen a demonic realm, because he wouldn't be playing around saying he's the Prince of Darkness. Then again, maybe he is. I don't know. It's like a 50-50 thing with that guy. I mean, anybody who snorts ants off of a sidewalk, you're pretty sick and twisted. You look at Gene Simmons, calls himself the Demon, puts the man bun thing on there. I mean, Gene Simmons did the first man bun, whether anybody realizes it or not, but he did. But it also explains the arrogance and the cockiness and who Gene Simmons really is. I was one of those ones, man. I loved the demon effect of him and the stuff he would wear. But then after I started watching his television shows and reading interviews about him and stuff, and some people had said that they actually met him and he's just a total a-hole all the way around, and his arrogance and everything else, you're human. I mean, your lifestyle, yeah, you'll be playing with your band down in hell. I mean, there's no God anywhere in his life. It's the God of thunder of hell. And I'm sorry, anybody that doesn't follow God, this is exactly what there's heaven and hell, that's it. You either follow God or you don't. When I was in that area, naturally, I'm going straight to hell. I mean, there was no two ways about it. I'm going to get back to this one. Hold on. You were talking about your mom, how, with the Bible verses and reading stuff to you, changed because, and then now today, if she's still alive or whenever this was taking place, if she's not still alive, I do apologize. But watching Paranormal Activity, watching anything that has to do with witchcraft or any of that kind of stuff, true story. Of course, everything I tell you is true, but I'm just saying in case somebody's watching this video that has no clue what's going on, doesn't even know this channel. We rented one night Paranormal Activity. Okay, DVD, brought it home, put it in, and as we're watching it, we're getting through it, things started happening in the house. And, people are getting a little freaked out. It was like everyday life for me. I mean, I'm like, you open portals messing around with stuff that you have no idea. That's why I tell people, do not watch anything that has to do with witchcraft. I don't care if it's dang on Smurfs. Don't watch it. That's all that's out there now. It's these dang on shows about Satan. You know, the look at the Oscars just took place. Somebody sent me an email on this, and I actually Googled it, and I'm like looking, I'm going, you got to be kidding me. I mean, their dress, it's all about this girl's dressed in all red. She has a red veil over her face. Well, it's not really a girl, it's a guy dressed up as a girl, you know, transgender stuff. And the guy standing next to it, then they end up showing a song. This thing's in a cage. You got these stripper-like girls dancing around the cage. It could be guys, I don't know. And then the guy that was on stage with her, he was on all red. Then he came out with his top hat with these horns, singing the song about the devil and all this stuff. And these people in Taylor Swift and standing up, putting their hands together, and because this guy is giving this great speech about how she's finally won this award, and all, I'm thinking, give it a rest. First of all, you won a woman's award, and you're a guy. You see how sick and twisted this stuff is, and people think it's fake and all that. Man, I wish everything that I went through was fake. I wish everything you went through was fake. Because this stuff is not a joke. I mean, this is... Jackie, let me tell you something real quick here. I knew a guy that... we used to do stuff, trade off and on things and stuff. And his girlfriend, we were at a party. His girlfriend come up to me and says, can I talk to you a minute? And I went, no. She looked at me funny and she goes, what? I said, no. I said, you want to talk to me? Then we go over there and talk. She went, but I want to talk to you in private. I said, no, you don't. I said, no, you don't. She went, why not? And I said, because I'm not dealing with the nonsense that's going to come afterwards. Now, I've always had this ability to see things as it plays out. And that's what a lot of the times I believe today, God gave me that visions of things so I could see how it would play out, so I wouldn't react on things. And she says, can we at least walk this way a little bit where everybody can see us? But I said, you don't understand. She went, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to tell you when to start counting. When I tell you to get to, when I tell you to start counting, by the time you get to 4, this is what's going to happen. Your boyfriend, my friend, he's going to walk over here. He's going to freak out on you for talking to me. He's going to falsely accuse me of things. He's then going to swing at me, and I'm going to stop his fist, and I'm going to beat the living tar out of him. She looked at me and she goes, right, you do realize he's in martial arts and all that. And I said, you do realize that I am trained to fight. And she kind of looked at me again. I said, okay, now count. She went 1, 2, 3, and here he comes. 4, starts going off, and I'm like, we were exchanging words. He drew back, and I grabbed his fist. I said, she went, oh my gosh, stop. He just told me what was about to happen. And for a split moment, his name was Josh. He looks over at me and goes, you were about to rip me to shreds, wasn't you? And I said, no, wasn't about to. It was going to happen. And he looked at me and I said, so a couple days later, he ends up coming over and I'm sitting on the porch and I had a couple guys over and we're talking. He says, can I talk to you a minute? And I was like, about? He goes, what happened the other night? I said, it happened. It's done. See, I was never one to hold grudges. He said, no, man, I seriously need to talk to you a minute. He said, but I want to talk to you out here in the front yard, if you don't mind. You want me to go 5 feet off my porch and talk to you right there? So at this point, I was always, like, even in the summer, I don't know why, I always wore, like, flannels. So I'm taking my flannel. He goes, what are you doing? I said, are you calling me out there to fight? He goes, no. I said, okay. I took my flannel off anyways. I was like, he goes, are you serious right now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm being dead serious right now. And we're standing there and he goes, that night, and I was like, okay. He says, your eyes turned coal black. The weird thing about it is you had a red line that went across your pupil. There was nothing there, just a red line. And I said, in the left eye or the right eye? He goes, does it matter? And I said, yes, it does. And he says, well, your left eye. But your right eye kept, like, moving, like weird movements. I said, okay. I said, anything else you want to talk about? Because I don't want to talk about it. He says, why not? And I said, there's no, I'm not getting into this, okay? Just what happened. It's done. Let's never go to that extent again on anything. Never talk to me again. You know, and it takes, you know, the devil does whatever he can to pull things away from you. Same thing if we let God take things out of our life and take it away. But when you're watching these demonic movies and you're watching these TV shows, you understand that majority of these TV taps and the one with Zach in it and all that stuff, you do realize a lot of this stuff is put on. It's fake. I mean, seriously. There was one when they did this Halloween live thing, the tap show, and you can comment on it and stuff like that. When the dresser drawer, that drawer thing on the nightstand opened up, you can literally see the fishing string coming off that thing. And later on, the black hair guy that left taps for a while, the other Roto-Rooter guy, he even said a lot of the stuff was fixed. They'd have electronic devices in there and they'd have remotes. You can actually buy these stupid things because when I worked in the haunted houses, we had the same things. It was all remote control to where we could turn them on and make it look like activity was happening and the people would start entering the scene and you're standing there with all this devices and stuff and just remote controlling it. It's entertainment, so we say. Jackie, somewhere down the line, either someone has put some kind of attachment next to you or something you have done that you blocked out. What I mean by that is, by any chance, did you take on any kind of names? Did you allow any kind of seances being done? Did you feel any? If you ever sat through a seance, have you ever felt like something jolt your body? If so, you could have an attachment. Even then, now, you know, most important thing is whoever's watching this, she follows Jesus Christ, okay? You know, and that's why I said, have respect, people, because honestly, I have a a lot of respect for most of all for trusting me to even come forward to speak of any of this stuff. Um, you know, and then to get these demon attacks later on, it's for some reason it didn't want you. I believe well, I guess I've never stopped, so why do it now? People's either going to believe what they want or they don't have to, and at this point, I believe that demon was trying to impregnate you. To be totally honest, I mean, it might not even been what you thinking. It might. That's why I was curious about the Hoods. If he was ever present in a seance, I believe that it wanted to use your body to produce demonic children. Honestly, I truly do. I mean, this isn't uncommon. I believe, I don't even know what happened to your friend, the reason why she had to go to the hospital, but I believe them 3 girls did something to remove her from that room. And that's not uncommon. There was times when if I wanted something done, all I had to do is put that person in place and say the right words and flip the right cards, and it was done. Now, if I wanted someone to be punished, I would poke and drip my blood, say the right words, light the right candles, and they would be punished. It's why I don't understand why people take this stuff so lightly. Halloween going, I mean, I went trick-or-treating. I took my kids trick-or-treating, and I remember one time going trick-or-treating, honestly. So my sisters went ahead of me, and there was 2 more houses that I wanted to go to, and it was like a house, this like little, it seemed like a huge field when you're little, and it wasn't really that big. It was just like you cut through the little field, there was a couple houses, and there was our house. So my sisters went ahead. It was nothing uncommon for me to run around the neighborhood and do stuff anyways. Because like I said, I used to take my tricycle, my big wheel, I'd hook a wagon to it, and I go around picking up spare parts and stuff out of the trash. I mean, I built a whole bicycle out of pieces parts. I called it Frankenstein because it looked crazy. So I'm going through there, and I'm cutting through, and I went to the last house, and I'm coming through, and I'm like looking in my bag, and I'm like, wow, I'm just excited. I can't wait to get home. And these boys come running down through there and say, give me your candy, and I stuttered like crazy. I couldn't really yell because I couldn't, I'm just scared. So I took off running. And I'm running as fast as I can. Well, I'm in one of those plastic suit Halloween costumes that you tied. You had a little string behind it. You had a mask with a piece of elastic, like a rubber band type thing to the mask to hold on your face, and I had it pulled up on top of my head. I was Batman that year. And the boys ran me down, pushed me, and I ran into this tree, and they took my candy. And I remember laying there, and I've never told anybody this. I remember laying there watching them run away, and I was crying. Well, I've told people about this part, but not what happened afterwards. And I was young. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to have any candy. And I just remember thinking, I remember that demon yelled a name one night when it was shaking my bed. And I yelled that name. And I said, make them fall. One by one, they fell. But I seen the demon. It turned around and looked at me and just like held its head up and walked back towards me. And at that point, I'm booking to the house. And I ran in the house and I laid on my mom's bed, and my sister's wrapping, stopping the blood and all this stuff, and it's but the weird thing is, my bag of candy came back. It was under my bed. That particular demon didn't shake my bed no more. It would just stand and stare at me. Demonic it's a different realm. It's so powerful beyond what we can even go into. And I think the thing of it is, I think when people start experimenting with this stuff, they think it's cool at first and they're like excited about things happening. And I mean, honestly, I sat through seance after seances and I've seen crazy stuff happen. I've watched Ouija boards, the eye itself, and here's the thing, the Parker Brothers game, okay, it's a Ouija board. I still wouldn't mess with it. But in our realm that we had, you made your own eye, which is that, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there is a name, but I'm not going to say. That piece that people would put their hands on, and somebody says, no, you're moving it. No, I'm not. You're moving it. Some people say it was the vibration and stuff. Yeah. But we all made our own. It's Jackie, you were talking about your husband. You were talking about telling him all this, and he had no clue what to tell you. And being that he was military and stuff, I really thought about that, going, yeah, isn't that something? Them guys are trained to fight. Them guys are trained to go through warfare and everything else, but not this kind of warfare. They're, can you imagine standing out in the field with a machine gun going, a bit like fighting the predator? You can't see it. I mean, it's like, how do you kill an invisible thing that you can't see? It's I'm thankful that it's stopped. Um, I don't have the shaking of the beds and stuff, but I still see so much stuff. I wish that would stop. And I've asked Jesus to take it, but Jesus said there's a reason still why I see things, and because I need to see the spiritual realms as it happens, so I can speak of the things that per se that what's happening with you or what happened to you. Do I still see demons? Yes. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm at a Pilot Travel Center truck stop, and I walked inside to scan my paperwork, and I watched two of them walk across. And this was just tonight. And for a split moment, you go into that area where you go, it's not real, it's not real. Anybody ever watch Ice Road Truckers? The Alex guy on it, Jesus, I trust in you. Sometimes that's what comes through my head, the fastest. A while back, I was telling Darlene, I said, I kept hearing this tapping on the side of the truck. I don't know if I said this on the video or not, but if not, this is going to be the first time or the second time you've heard it. If it's already on the video, this thing, I kept hearing this tapping on the side of the truck. And I thought it was what we call the lot lizards knocking, because they'll do that. They'll knock at your door, they'll knock right by your vents and stuff, or right around your sleeping bed area where your windows and stuff are. And it just annoys the crap out of you. It's like, does it look like I want company? No, I don't. Get away from my truck. Matter of fact, I got stickers on there about stuff, sex trafficking. I don't have no problems calling that number. Most of them take off real quick. And it's like, I probably should just call the number. But, you're talking 10:30, 12 o'clock at night, and you've got to be up by 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And, yeah, right. I'm not even thinking about that kind of stuff. I'm just pissed off at this point. But I laid back down, and then I heard it at the foot of my bed, which is, I don't know if you can see it. I'm pointing right here. This thing right here, this little vent, that's what I heard. I'm like, what in the world? So now I jump up, and I run up, open my curtain, and I'm looking through my mirror. And then I heard it on that side, so I jumped to the other side. Did the same thing. And then I heard it again, so at this point I'm like, ooh. So I jump back to the passenger side, and I'm just sitting there, and I go, what? There it was. And at that point, all I did is prayed. Jesus, protect me. Jesus, protect me. Jesus, protect me. See, I believe, and I truly believe this, and I've not told this to anybody. I truly believe Lucifer so ticked off to the fact, I remember what he said to me one night. He flat out just told me, I'm not done. Funny thing is, Darlene's youngest daughter testified the same thing. He told her he wasn't done. She told him, yes, you'll never get me back. Oh yeah, he did. In more ways than one. So I'm very cautious to talk about certain things. I'm very, name-wise and stuff like that. If there's, in the demonic realm, in the seances and all that kind of stuff, I don't know if you ever took place in any of those, but if you did you light candles? If you did, what color was the candle? And I know some of you might be thinking right now, there's different candles. Yeah, each color means something different, and you would light it depending on what you were doing. And please, I'm telling you, I'm begging you, please Don't Google this stuff. Don't look this stuff up, because all you're doing is opening. When you open up something on that phone, you're opening up possibilities of stuff coming to you. It's why I don't really like to talk about this stuff. Please, I'm telling you, I'm begging you, because if you got young kids in your house, they start opening the stuff, they start going, trust me, that your kids are probably already into this stuff and don't even realize they're into this stuff. Call of Duty, the warfare games and all that stuff. What do you think that stuff is? They're online. You don't know who they're talking to online. They could say, "Oh, I'm over here in Michigan, and you live in Indiana." How do you really know? How do you know they're not in another country? We'll pay you. All you got to do? Hey, we'll wire you the money. We'll give you the money, but if you don't do what we're going to tell you, then we're coming after you. All we need you to do is take this gun, go down here, and shoot up this place. Man, you're excellent. You're an excellent player. They make the game become reality. You ever wonder why you have all these shoot ups and all this stuff? Think about it. What your kid's doing. I know there was a few other things, but the thing is, I can't even read my writing. The interesting thing in there and I kind of saved it to last, was the fact that you said that you couldn't feel God's presence. You're not going to. Ever. It's kind of like this. Here's the best way to explain it. People that have near-death experiences go to heaven, and it doesn't change them. And you think it would. I went to hell, and I spent 2 weeks examining this. I would go to this abandoned church. Later on, I found out it was a demonic church. Go figure. It's why nothing ever changed in my life. I'd go to this thing all the time. They finally tore it down because of all the rituals and all the stuff that actually happened in there, and the seances and sacrifices and everything goes with that crappy realm. I just want to say, Jackie, you're a very brave woman. I mean, honestly, I know you've been through a lot, and I'm not sharing everything that you shared on there, and I still believe those girls had some kind of issue with you, and they pretty much sick demons on you. Or maybe the demons convinced them to do the seance and stuff so it could have its way with you. Either way, it's a lose-lose situation. I'm just glad that you're not going through the bed shakings, and you're not going through any of this, but it's horrifying, isn't it? I mean, not the fact of going through it. To me, it was the fact of having anybody that would believe you. I mean, that's the most horrifying thing of it. It's like when you stand in hell, you know what the weird thing about the hell testimonies and stuff? And I literally thought, and I don't know if I said it in the video or not, but I literally thought I would at least get one person to ask me, what was the worst part about hell? If I had to pinpoint all the stuff that I've seen. And, you know, there's still stuff about hell that I haven't spoke. And I can honestly tell you the worst part about hell. And the worst part of it is the realizing you're never going to leave. The hopeless feeling of standing there, feeling hopeless. And it was never going to change. I can't leave. That is the worst feeling in the world. The worst sound wasn't the people screaming or the gnashing of the teeth or the people getting ripped apart and that screaming and the crack on the bones and all that. And it's that stupid clock. Sometimes when I hear clocks that sound like that, it just makes me freeze and stop right in my tracks. It's so crazy, ridiculous. You just want to throw something at the dang on thing. Like I said, there's no second hand, there's no hour hand, there's nothing. There's no clock hands or nothing on this thing. It just ticks and ticks and ticks. It's like listen to a drop of water hit. Drop, and in a sink. Eventually, you're going to get up and try to stop it. Well, there's no stopping that thing. There's none. You can stop something that don't have hands. Good luck. So, Jackie, hopefully I hit base on some of your concerns. I'm going to pray here in a minute for your mom to, if she's, I believe you said she's still alive, but I'm going to pray that there's no attachments, that she stops watching those things, and I'm going to pray over you also that nothing can be formed against you, because you're quick to fall back into that stuff, because once it's already started, possessions of things, they don't like giving up, per se, their property. Power of Jesus breaks all curses, breaks all sins, and, we just call on his blood. That being said, our Heavenly Father, we just ask that you watch over us, and we just ask that you protect us. And Father, I ask in your Son's name, the Lord Jesus Christ, his blood. His blood is powerful. A single drop of blood can defeat anything. I just ask for Jackie's mom to stop watching these shows if she's still here in the present. I ask that she stops watching these paranormal shows and any other things that has to do with witchcraft or any kind of satanic things or any kind of power and authority of a movie that portrays of one way or the next, deceiving ways. Any of these things, I pray that these chains are broken, her eyes are open up to you, and her hearing's open up to you, that she hears you and she sees your presence, and she walks away from this demonic activity in these demonic realms. She walks away from learning about these things and watching this foolish stuff. I pray over Jackie. I pray for peace and love and joy be in with her as she's watching this video and even afterwards. I pray for broken chains and broken strongholds. I pray the devil has no authority over her no more. I pray that her mind goes completely blank and she don't have to remember any of these things. And I pray for removal of these spiritual attacks. I pray for removal of the spiritual sight of the things that she's seen. I pray for removal of the things that if anybody put a spell on her or casted any kind of a chance or anything over. I pray for this thing to be removed, Lord, in your holy glorious name, in your blood. And you are the Messiah. You are the King of Kings. You are the healer. You are the chain breaker. And I know you can break any of these chains. And I know you can remove anything away or from them. And I know that even if they tried to even listen to a bad song or anything, or Google it, Lord, I ask for anybody that's watching this, if anybody tries to Google any of these things or try to download a video or something, or try to watch something that we talked about, topics in this, I pray their phone doesn't work. I pray their computer doesn't work. I pray that it just completely just starts shutting down, like the battery goes completely drained every time they try to do something that they shouldn't be doing. Because I pray no attachments over them. I pray no attachments over anybody that's watching, that ends up watching this video. I pray for peace and love and joy over everyone, each and every person that comes across this channel. We just praise you, Lord, in your blood. We say and ask of these things. Amen. All right, guys. Again, Jackie, if you want, if I didn't hit everything, well, let me know. I'll finish it. But like on some of this stuff, I just need to do. Don't take me wrong. I will continue if you want, but I got to do it in steps also, because it. And I know I talked a lot about my life mixed in with all this stuff, but I don't know. There's some kind of connection somewhere. I just can't figure it out. I mean, I don't know what it is. But and the weird part is, I mean, there was so much stuff that I almost started to say that anyways, God bless you guys. Take care. Please, 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 please keep an eye on what your kids are doing. Keep an eye on what your spouses are doing. Keep an eye on if anybody's renting a room off you or in your house. Family members come to stay with you. Keep an eye on what they're doing. Keep an eye on what they're reading. It's your house. I mean, don't let this stuff enter in there. You don't want to be left here. There ain't going to be too many people that's going to survive. And that's the truth. God bless you. Until the next one.